That somehow if I knew, I could actually tell the truth. I could not practice deception. I could speak about what I really think or what really happened or who I really am or how I'm really doing. That if I knew I was safe, if I knew that there would be confidences kept, and it wouldn't be aired on Elevate News. If I knew that it wouldn't work itself through the social grapevine. If I knew I could deposit that information in someone and that's where it would stay. And if I knew that when I deposited that information, I would not be condemned. But I would be accepted and valued and loved without condition or reservation. And if I knew that I would be supported. See, if I had that environment where it was safe, then I'd be willing to take the risk to be honest like I'm supposed to be. And like relational geniuses just simply do. You know what's fascinating? We all will migrate to the safest place we know. We'll all do that. Years ago, another state, totally different situation. I was talking with a woman, counseling kind of situation. And we were getting close to an issue that she said she had but she couldn't talk about. And as she began to, for the first time to anybody, begin to talk about this, all of a sudden I could just notice she began to shake. And she was like, I don't know if I can do this. I don't want to do this. And I said, well, if you're not ready, it's okay. She goes, I can't go there. It's a black hole. If I take the lid off that black hole, I'm afraid I'll fall in and I'll never go anywhere. And I said, okay, if you're not ready, I want you to be ready. And then suddenly, she stood straight up in the chair, turned around, and ran out of the office. Ran down to the basement of the church building. Well, my wife is there. She's at the church building. And it's like, where did she go? I mean, none of the doors are open. She's in the building somewhere. I had no idea where. You know where we found her? At the bottom of the stairs going into the basement. As soon as you turn, there's a door because there's a closet that goes back under the stairs. And she had gone back into the very back of that closet in the very corner, and she was just sitting there with her arms over her knees. And I remember standing in the front of that door and just seeing that little huddled form back there, and hey, it'll be okay. I'm not going to come in and give you all the time, space you need. I'll go away if you want me to. She said, this is the only place I feel safe. Eventually, the whole story unfolded. Turns out that as she was growing up as a young child, she was molested by relatives. And she could hear the relatives walk up the stairs heading to her doorway. And what she would sometimes do is slip out of bed and she'd get into her closet and she'd go into the very corner and huddle up to try to not be seen, saying, please don't let him find me. Please don't let him find me. The corner of a dark closet is the only safe place she knew. And when she began feeling a little bit like, oh my goodness, exposure, oh pain, oh shame, oh whatever she was feeling, and all of that and more, she ran to the only safe place she knew. She is not unlike me at all. She's probably not unlike you. Because we all want to run somewhere where we know we're going to be safe, or where we think we're going to be safe. Wouldn't it be great? Let's try to imagine this. Wouldn't it be great if we actually had relationships that felt as safe to us as that corner of the closet did to her? And that we ran to somebody or to somebodies when we just felt like, oh my goodness, I'm about to die because of what's happening inside. Safety. If we're going to be a relational genius, we have to be honest. We have to decide, I'm not going to deceive anyone, okay? I'm not going to try to make them think that something is true that really isn't true. By what I say or what I do, by projecting an image or by the words I speak, I'm not going to do that. And then what I am going to do instead is I'm actually going to tell the truth. And I'm going to be honest about who I am, what I experience, what I've seen, what I've done, what's going on inside of me, what I think, how I feel, how I'm doing. Another question pops in my head right away. Why is that such an important deal to making relationships work? Why is it that this is something a relational genius does? And it occurs to me that the very verse that we're looking at this morning, Ephesians 4:25, actually gives incredible insight on that answer. Because it says, putting off falsehood, we should speak the truth to one another, because, get this is a head scratcher, because we are members of one body. What does that mean? Well, it's like an analogy, it's a word picture. It's like, it's like a body, and it has different members or parts, hands and legs and feet and eyes and ears and nose and all that kind of stuff. And the fascinating thing about a body is, while there are all these different parts, they're all vitally connected to each other, right? And it's like their future is tied up to one another. It's like my left foot couldn't decide that it wants a different future than the rest of the body. Sorry. It's like our future is tied up together. We are vitally linked to one another. Our futures are, that's the thing about relationships. Like it or not, what I do affects you, what you do affects me. The closer the relationship, the more that there's an effect. But there's always an effect relationships have with each other. Just like body parts affect the other body parts, and what happens to the whole depends on what happens to the parts. And from that, there are two really, really powerful insights that I just want to touch on this morning. The first is this, that indicates that without honesty, you can't get needed assistance. Can't get it. See, God designed the body to work this way. If something is going on with a part of my body, okay, I got something going on with my foot. What it does is it sends signals to the rest of my body saying, we have a problem. Do something. Right away, my body will trigger, all sorts of things, Maybe it's an infection and the white blood cells go there, or there's pain, so the rest of my body goes, okay, let's take some of the weight off of it. But the body, if it gets the right signals, the body can respond in such a way to help and bring healing. But if we're not honest with each other, then what happens is we're not sending the signals to each other so that others in our relational world can then respond by giving us what we might need at that moment so that we can get healthy, so that we can stay strong, so that we can grow. There's a little 4-year-old girl, her name is Gabby Ingrass. And she has something that only about 99 other people in the world have. They figure 100 worldwide might have it. It's called congenital insensitivity to pain. She can't feel pain. Can't feel it. Something has just gone on. There are other things she can feel. She's, oriented. She can move. Everything else looks normal. She just simply cannot feel pain. And you might think at first, that would be a sweet syndrome to have. Never hurt, no headaches, no backache, no whatever. Yeah, and then you find out actually it's a horrible situation. Because she didn't know when she's hurt herself. When she was teething, they finally had to start pulling every teeth that would come because she would literally grind into the bone and not know she was hurting. She would take her fingers and gnaw them to the place that she was losing fingers. She just couldn't feel pain. Things would happen with her eyes. They had to remove one eye. She wears goggles to try to protect the other eye, which right now has a 2200, ability to see, legally blind.